Hey everybody, welcome to part 3 of Let's Talk About Firearms. So, what are we talking about in part 3? Well, what did we talk about in part 1? Part 1 we talked about laws. Part 2 we talked about terms that they like to do and scare tactics that they use and the outright lies. Part 3 we're going to talk about the actual shootings that have been going on. Mass shootings. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes seeing kids get hurt. Period. Nobody. But yet, according to anti-2A people, you're bloodthirsty. Oh, you don't care. You just want to hold on to your weapons. Well, you're right. Because we know that if we give up our firearms, we're giving up our freedoms. So what can we do? Well, they like to twist words around. They outright lie. They say things. They just came out with a news report saying, there's been over 300 mass shootings in America to date. To date, over 300. Look how bloodthirsty. We need to do something. Well, that's an outright lie. It's a twist. It's an outright lie and twist on the actual facts. If you look at the FBI, the actual definition of a mass shooting is 4 or more people murdered or killed during one incident. And that includes the shooter. So if a guy goes in, shoots and murders 3 people, then the cops come and shoot and kill him. You notice I said kill him, not murder him. There's a big difference between murdering and killing somebody. That's the definition of a mass shooting. What they are doing is they've lowered it to 3. 3 people shot, including the shooter, even if they don't die. So if a guy goes somewhere, let's say a guy's in robbing a convenience store. He's got a firearm. He shoots the clerk. He shoots a customer. He goes running outside. The cops are there. He goes to point the gun at the cops. They light him up, and he dies. Or he survives, whatever. Hopefully he dies. You now have a mass shooting under their definitions because there were 3 people that were shot. Doesn't matter, and they don't care if it's a robbery, if it's a crime, okay? As long as 3 people are shot, they want to count that as a mass shooting. Just so they can bump these numbers up purposely to instill fear in people. I mean, think about it. Somebody comes up to you and says, oh my God, there's been 300 mass shootings in America today. Oh man, I'm scared. What? All over. You'd be a little nervous too, wouldn't you? 300 mass shootings. Because when somebody says mass shootings, you envision what happened in Texas. You envision what happened in New York. That type of mass shooting. And actually, that type of mass shooting, running on FBI, the way they report this, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, I believe actual mass shootings since the 1990s, there's only been around 73 of them. That's correct. Only around 73 true mass shootings. Everything else that they report is complete and utter bullshit. Yeah. It's the jilted husband that's pissed off at the wife, goes to her work, he shoots her, somebody tries to jump him, he shoots her, and then he gets shot by the police. Oh, that's a mass shooting. Doesn't matter that the guy was, jilted. Gang violence. There's a little turf war going on in one of these cities. I'm not going to mention any cities. and the gang members get into a shootout with each other. More than 3 people get shot. And it's over turf, over drugs, whatever. Oh, that's a mass shooting. What's another statistic they like to do? Oh, you have to think about the kids. All these kids have been killed. Blah, 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 blah. Well, one of the things they do is they add 18 and 19-year-olds into the statistics to boost their figures up. Oh, no. Yes. I don't know. Do you consider an 18 or 19-year-old a kid? Maybe you do. I don't. As far as I'm concerned, you hit 18, you're an adult. You're old enough to join the service. You're old enough to vote. You're an adult. Yeah, you're still kind of going through, you're still doing stupid stuff. I remember being 18. I was a stupid kid at the time. I did stupid stuff. But, So that's what that's the kids shootings. That's the statistics on the kids. They had the kids. Oh, and then 15, 16-year-old gang members shooting each other out. They get shot. They get murdered. They were kids. Oh, they were kids. Forget the fact that it was a 15-year-old. It was a kid who was 16 years old, been a member of the gang since he was 10, has already committed multiple felonies, and don't even think kids can't commit multiple felonies, because they can. All right. Kids are just as stupid, and kids are even worse because they don't even think about what they do. They don't even think about the consequences of the actions. Kids do horrendous things. Kids have raped, kids have murdered. And I'm talking under 16. All right. So kids do horrendous things. Same as adults. But that doesn't matter. Let's think of the kids. Listen. The end of the story is it comes down to this. The hard facts, there is between 30 to 35,000 people that die every year from firearms. The majority of them die from handguns, not rifles. You have more of a chance of being beaten to death with fists and feet than you are by being shot by a rifle. That's the honest truth. Or a blunt instruments. You look at the statistics every year for the last 10 years and you'll see that. FBI crime statistics. It'll show that. So, what do we do? How do we stop these nutcases from doing these terrible these nutcases? Well, there's been a couple youngsters, there's been a couple people under 21 that have done mass shootings, but there's been quite a few mass shootings that are over 21. Every single one of these people has slipped through the cracks. The majority of them were already indications. They need to strengthen these indications. They need to really sit down and have, interviews if these people are truly nutcases. I mean, you got an 18, you got a 16-year-old that's torturing animals and killing animals. Well, gee, maybe that's a good indication that this kid needs to get some serious mental health, and maybe we shouldn't let him. Maybe this is the type of person. As for schools, let's look at New York. Why did that kid target New York? Specifically that area. He said it in his writings. He targeted the area because he knew there wouldn't be very many people carrying firearms. And he'd be able to shoot a lot of people without the fear of being shot at. Yeah, so why do they go after schools? Same reason. Every school in America is a gun-free zone. That means you're not allowed to bring firearms on the property. unless, depending on what state you're in, you get permission from the principal. Let's say you're a parent, you're picking your kid up, and you carry. So that means these are soft targets. We need to make our schools hard targets. We also need to stop taking these shooters alive. Somebody commits a horrendous act like that, they need to be shot. There is no surrendering. Take them out. Put them 6 feet under. Bury them. And no media outlet states the person's name. Why do they do this? What is one of the reasons why? I'll tell you why. They want the fame. They want to be talked about. They want their name out there. They don't care that it's infamous. They don't care that they've murdered people. They just want to be that. They want that attention. They want to be known. Well, you bury them, put them 6 feet under, you forget their name. Will it stop all of them? No, of course not. If somebody's truly demented and crazy, it's not going to stop them from doing something or trying to do something. But that's one step. Don't take any of them alive. What's the second step? Anybody that works at a school should be allowed to carry a firearm. It should be encouraged. You should have at least, out of an entire school, you should have at least, depending on your staff size, you got 20 staff members, you should have at least 5 or 6 people carrying. They should be given preference. They should get the firearms. They should be have the advanced training. And let me tell you something. There's some really good training out there. All right. There are so-called, what they say, civilians shouldn't have it. Those civilians are better trained than law enforcement. Simply because of what they've done and how they've trained. They can shoot better. They can do tactical situations better. Simply because they've taken the responsibility of firearm ownership and they've taken and they've trained. And these are civilians in their eyes. I know civilians that I would rather have at my back than quite a few number of police officers that maybe pick up a train through the academy, and then go on patrol, never fire the firearm, and then maybe once a year go for firearms training. I would take a civilian who goes at least once a month to train, has taken several advanced courses in firearms training, tactical, over that officer that goes once a year, all day long. So you have the teachers do that. And, volunteer. There is no forcing anybody. This is America. You don't force anybody to do anything. This is America. They want to do it, so be it. Oh, but the kids are going to be so scared. They're going to know they have guns. Listen, man, that's bullshit. The only reason kids get scared of firearms is because adults scare them. Kids are inquisitive, curious people. And actually, starting at age 5, they should be taught firearm safety. All right? They should be taught firearm safety, end of story. From age 5 to age 10, for 5 years, they should go to a class. They should go to a class once a week, have it drilled into their head. There's 3 firm rules with firearms. 1, a firearm is always loaded until you manually check it yourself. Fast and Furious, it's always loaded. 2, never point a firearm at anything you don't want to destroy on purpose. Sometimes, you may sweep somebody by mistake, that happens. You're not thinking, oh, sorry, and that person was standing there. I'm talking actually physically point the firearm at the object. And then 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Those are the 3 firm rules. There are a couple more that I like to follow, but I'm not going to get into that. But if you follow those 3 firm rules, you'll never have any incidences. I'm going to tell a quick story. There were 2 kids. They were around think they were around 12 or 13 years old. They were tromping through the woods. They found a rifle. The kids had never had any type of firearm training, safety, or anything. The one kid picked up the gun, pointed at his buddy, pulled the trigger, and he killed him. I'm like, he didn't know better. Had that child been trained that all firearms are loaded, never point a gun at something you don't wish to destroy and keep your finger off the trigger, his friend would probably still be alive. But he'd never been trained. He didn't know any better. You can't blame the child. That is why it's important to train children. And kids aren't afraid of firearms. They won't be afraid of firearms if they're taught that. But no, they would rather scare the children because they know if they scare the children, they'll grow up. And when they grow up, they'll still be scared of firearms. And they'll agree to losing their rights, their natural rights. They'll agree to have their liberties taken from them because, that's bad. As more than evident, watch any video on protest marches with guns and you'll see what I mean. You got young kids, 15, 16, they're bad, they're so bad, who needs this? Because they've been brainwashed. So make the schools hard targets. Take out any shooter. Make it a hard target. Never talk about the person. And even some of these nutcases are going to think twice about going after a school. Because they're going to know, well, I know there are quite a few people in that school that are armed. And I know they're going to lock it down and start shooting at me. I may be able to get a couple, but it won't be enough. But even then, they're still going to kill me. They're going to shoot me dead and then bury my body and bury my name, and I'm not going to be in the news. So I'm going to do something else. Pretty simple. Don't give them what they want. That'll cut down on some of these instances that happen. Don't give them what they want. So what else we got here? Well, we've gone over laws. We go over fake terms that they like to bandy about. Oh, what else here? All right, I'm going to do one more. Just one more here. And I'm going to talk about... Everybody likes to bandy around and say, they're not coming after your firearms. Blah, 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 blah. Well, that's a lie. And I'm going to talk about that in part 4. And then that'll be it for this series.